Good evening. I'm Tricia Crowley with the League of Women Voters of Champaign County, and on behalf of the League and the NAACP Champaign County branch, I welcome you to tonight's forum. The forum is for the consolidated election on April 1, 2025 for the office of Mayor of the Rantoul Board of Trustees. The recording of this forum will be available on votechampaign.org, which is the League's candidate guide, and also the League's YouTube channel. Links for both of which can be found on the League's website, LWVCC.org. So it may be a couple of days before the links are put up, but that's where you'll find. Questions were solicited online to be sent to the League's candidate forum email address. Some questions were submitted more than once. They've been combined, so the question may not be asked in exactly the form that you submitted it. In addition, questions have been solicited from the audience. There are more questions that we're going to get to. I can tell you that right now. So I'm afraid some people's questions we won't have time to get. The order for the candidates is alphabetical. Therefore, Sam Hall will open and Chuck Smith will close. Each candidate will be given 2 minutes for an opening statement. I will then ask questions, and candidates will have 1 minute to answer these questions. Candidates can finish their sentence or thought, even if time has expired. At the end of the forum, each candidate will have 2 minutes for a closing statement. Candidates will kindly refrain from any negative attacks on the other candidate and will speak only to what they plan to do if elected to office. So we should begin. Mr. Hall, you have 2 minutes for your opening statement.
Good evening. Thank you to the League of Women Voters, our moderator, and everyone here tonight. My name is Sam III, and I'm honored to be running for Mayor of Rantoul. I grew up in Chicago, met my wife in Bloomington, Illinois, married her, and raised our family here in Rantoul since 1999. I've served on boards and committees in Rantoul, and for nearly 8 years, I've served as a village trustee, working to create real opportunities for our community. I've been a part of Rantoul's upward turn by creating the Rantoul Vacant Lot Program to encourage homeowners to purchase and maintain vacant lots next to their homes, as well as the Summer Youth Employment Program and champion initiatives such as small business support efforts. We've seen major progress. Every available space on the former Air Force Base is now occupied, and the growth of new businesses continue to strengthen our local economy. I also proudly supported the sports complex, which has been, pun intended, a game changer. It brings more visitors every year, plus revenue, and we get to show off our beautiful Rantoul. This progress is only possible because of the dedication of our village staff, local businesses, and community members like yourselves. Your hard work keeps our village running and makes Rantoul a better place for everyone. As village president, commonly known as mayor, I will continue this momentum by focusing on economic development, expanding job opportunities, supporting small businesses, and investing in youth programs that keep our community safe and thriving. I believe in leadership that listens, engages, and takes action for every person in Rantoul.
Thank you. Mr. Smith.
Yes, good evening, everyone. Thank you for coming. My name is Charles Smith. I arrived here in 1966 from the United States Air Force. I'm a veteran. I'm also a graduate of Eastern Illinois University. I graduating with honors. Also was given the Distinguished Alumni Award by Parkland College in 2015. I'm married. I have 3 children. Everybody's gone to college. Thank goodness. So that's behind me. When I was preparing for this presentation, I thought about the last 12 years of working for the people of Rantoul and all the accomplishments that's happened here in that period of time. Today, we're experiencing a commercial development surge that brings us to a special challenge. Maybe you've seen something about this in the paper. I'll give you a prime example of what's going on. As we've added these new commercial properties, the demand for electricity has increased significantly. And it's requiring us to buy new equipment and develop extensive planning for the future power needs. With that, of course, coming additional demands on water and wastewater also. The increase in population has created new demands for street repair. Because our village is now 90% occupied, our challenges will continue at an increasing scale because of this renewed interest in Rantoul. This coming summer, we anticipate a new BC Bank and the completion of Culver's Restaurant. We're also adding GFL transfer stations in the old Hudson Industries building. They have contracted with waste hauling and recycling providers, and they provided services to the village of Rantoul. They have purchased the building that they're in and are making additions and repairs to the current building. John Paul Bazard broke ground in Rantoul last month. This organization builds and repairs high-quality pipe organs. They build organs of consistent quality and have 6 different departments inside their business. There's 20 or more employees being housed in a 45,000 square foot building. This building has been built by the Rantoul Warehouse Group and located on the former Air Force Base on the east side of Rantoul.
But you're going a little long, so if you could wrap up.
Am I? Very good. All right, boy, don't take long too long to know about that. Well, it's been my distinct honor to be a part of the growth in Rantoul that you have witnessed, and I'm looking forward to continuing in that office. So thank you very much.
So we're alternating questions. We'll start with Mr. Hall. What life experiences and skills would you bring to the position of mayor that makes you the best candidate for the position?
Wow, in 1 minute.
Hurry.
Right. So skills that I have, I've managed multiple retail locations, right? Up to 12 ATM locations. I've been a teacher, a professional developer. I continue to be a trainer, and I'm a small business owner, nonprofit. Skills that I have acquired in my leadership style are such that would be considered a servant leader. One that seeks to help my staff, my participants, in this case, my residents of Rantoul, achieve their goals of a better quality of life, business increase, jobs, and so forth. What it takes for that is to be out in the public, to have a listening ear, an open heart to new ideas and thoughts. That's what I'll bring as mayor of Rantoul.
Thank you. Mr. Smith, would you like me to repeat the question?
Sure.
What life experiences and skills would you bring to the position of mayor that makes you the best candidate for the position?
Extensive background in finance. I was a registered financial representative for Guardian Park Avenue Securities out of New York for many years. And also I worked with Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Illinois for many, many years as well. I know health insurance inside now, which is a major benefit to the village of Rantoul and also to our employees. I know financing and budgeting at the back of my hand, and numbers are one of my favorite things to work with. So I'm in tune to the budget, also in tune to the needs of our department heads, and also requiring that a balanced budget be given every year from our administrator to people too.
Thank you. Mr. Smith, this question came in multiple times. So which do you prefer, electing village trustees by district or at large, and why?
I prefer electing village trustees at large. It seems to fit our community a lot better. I see more community involvement that way because it does engage the entire community. It doesn't make it where you have one trustee set up and they stay in that position forever and ever because nobody wants to compete against them. So at large works a lot better. It gives us more diversity than having it chosen in just districts.
Mr. Hall.
Can you repeat?
Sure.
Thank you.
Which do you prefer, electing village trustees by districts or at large, and why?
That's a great question. It's been posed to me many, many times for a few years now. I am supportive of what's going to be best for Rantoul. Rantoul residents that can be represented, no matter where they are. So if that means that voting for or going back to the at-large, which is the way it looks, then I'm for that.
Mr. Hall, what are the three biggest problems Rantoul faces right now, and what solutions would you propose?
The three biggest issues, not in any particular order. I'll say inclusivity, right? I feel that with the growing population that we have, we aren't growing or meeting the rate at which they're growing. We have a number of persons who speak different languages who aren't able to be here today, right? But they're able to vote. So that's a big issue. Number two, I believe transparency. Now, while I feel that the government has been doing a fairly good job of communicating and sharing information, there's always room for improvement. And to me, that's a big issue, right? That's just me. I think, and then I would say thirdly, we have a number of small businesses, potential entrepreneurs who are looking for a way and availability to be here. So that's an issue that all three I plan to address.
Mr. Smith, what are the three biggest problems Rantoul faces right now, and what solutions would you propose?
Well, the three that we're focusing on, first of all, is housing. We have an extremely short amount of housing. We've been working with developers to build moderate income home housing and also strip housing and also miniature homes. We're still working along those lines and we're working with the landowners now to make sure that that housing becomes available because it's desperately needed. The next thing that we're working on is because our aging electrical system and water system is showing signs and also trying to avoid power outages. We're replacing power units throughout the town. And also our new hotels and restaurants and those types of things are requiring more power as we move forward. The next thing that I see happening are the cuts that are happening at state level and also federal level that impact us as citizens and will cause increased cost to us on an individual basis.
Thank you. Mr. Smith, how will you engage with residents, particularly underserved, underrepresented groups, to ensure open communication and that their concerns are heard and addressed?
That's a good question. I've always been open to hearing people. As a matter of fact, I use an open policy in my office. You can walk in anytime. I also would like to start engaging people in public forum, more like this, probably at least once or twice a year, just to get feedback from the public. What I'm getting is right now is in my office is just phone calls and those types of things. When I see people out and they keep telling us that we're doing such a fantastic job in growing this community. And I like your feedback. I like the encouragement. It's good for all of us, but you need to know what I'm doing once in a while too. So I think it would be good to address you at least once or twice a year.
Thank you, Mr. Hall.
If you don't mind.
How would you engage with residents, particularly underrepresented groups, to ensure open communication and that their concerns are heard and addressed?
Thank you. So my plan as mayor is to, as Mr. Mayor now said, forums, but I want to go to neighborhoods where residents who don't typically feel comfortable calling, don't feel comfortable coming to the village office. I'll have my forums, my listening sessions, I'll call them, in those neighborhoods throughout the village. The second is to speak with and build stronger partnerships with organizations that are working directly with the underserved persons in this question. I already have relationships that I'll continue to cultivate, but those will be my two main areas of gathering information and incorporate everyone in Rantoul.
Thank you. Mr. Hall, how would you involve residents in the decision-making process?
Some of the same, right? So I think government should make decisions with the community versus for the community. And so in order to do that, we have to engage everyone in the community. We have to have an inclusive policy. We can't sit in the office. I've tried it. I've been in offices. I like to go out and talk to people. I like to have representatives in the community come talk to me, come talk to staff, learning what the needs are, and then acting on that.
Mr. Smith, how would you involve residents in the decision-making process?
That's pretty easy. We have an open policy of communication inside the village right now. Where you can approach any of us by any means, telephone, fax, email, whatever the case may be. I get a lot of this because people are in constant contact with me in my office. And we talk about the decisions that have been made, why certain decisions were made. We even do it in public format at the meetings. So that's part of the program as well. And so I think that we've got a good outlet for that. Also, our Facebook page and our city page. Public does communicate with us, and they do it in a very formal and very polite way, asking their questions, and I'm grateful for that.
Thank you. Mr. Smith, if you could pick one thing to change in Rantoul that would bring revenue to our village, what would it be and why?
To bring revenue to our village, I would like to have sports dome. If it's old, to bring revenue in. I think that it's time that we step across the line and build a dome to increase and enhance the sports complex. The sports complex has been a great enhancement to this community, generating millions of dollars and also more interest in our community. So I think a dome is the answer to take care of that, and encouraging my trustees to move in that direction as well.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Hall. If you could pick one thing to change in Rantoul that would bring revenue to the village, what would it be and why?
One thing that I would change would be the incorporation of increased attention on small business, right? By building the small business space in Rantoul, maybe by providing incentives, repurposing spaces that aren't being used, things of that nature, we can bring revenue, not just to Rantoul, but to those specific communities where we house these businesses. I think by doing that, that would be my number one focus to generate revenue.
Mr. Hall, there were several questions about youth and public safety, and so some of them have been combined. But do you have a plan to increase safety in neighborhoods, for instance, by working with law enforcement, local groups, and families to reduce crime and provide a sense of security?
Yes, thank you. Public safety is always a big issue, right? And you can look at it from a couple different ways. When working with the police, right, it'd be great to have police that are doing what's typically called community policing, where you know the policemen, you see them out and about, they're at ball games playing hoops, those types of things, right? Where neighbors and residents are comfortable speaking to them, both in situations of need as well as, fun situations. So that's number one, working with our police chief and the force to become friendly and neighborly, I'll say. On the resident side, I believe activities for us all outside of work, outside of school, such as after-school programs, which have promoted for many years, programs that are mentoring and activity-based, academic-based, are important for families as well as specifically students to engage. That those idle minds, right? Is a devil's playhouse, as they say.
Mr. Smith, do you have a plan to increase safety in neighborhoods, for instance, by working with law enforcement, local groups, and families to reduce crime and provide a sense of security?
Yes, ma'am, we do. As a matter of fact, it's in place already. We've been using a lot of technology in Rantoul, license plate readers and things, those types of apparatuses, gunshot detectors. And it has helped us solve many crimes. I feel Rantoul is a safer community today because of the technology base that we've used. And I'm glad to see the results that we've got. I can tell you that the Illinois State Police are very responsive to us and working with us and apprehending people that are criminals and also our local police department as well. We just had an incident in Rantoul where there was a gentleman that was had a warrant out for murder. He was picked up here in Rantoul, and it was because his car, his license plate, we read that, it was reported the man was apprehended here in Rantoul because of services. We have a lot of young people that like to play with guns in this town. And so our police officers are really, really busy and safeguarding the, thank you, safeguarding our citizens. Thank you.
Mr. Smith, do you have any plans to increase activities for our youth and young adults? And what would be required to implement a plan?
Oh my goodness, yes, our whole focus has been on youth and expanding programs and those types of things. And that's one of the reasons that brought the village to about the sports complex. The sports complex is a village park. Okay. So if you're driving up and down the road at night, you see the lights on, you wonder why those lights are on. It's still a park. And so there are kids out there playing. And if they're not out there playing, at least it's available for them to do that. We are increasing a lot of activities for our youth and also at our youth center. We've incorporated some cooking classes at the youth center. Both boys and girls are doing that. We have had art classes at the youth center as well. The youth center has been totally revamped, and we're offering more and more programs all the time for our youth in Rantoul. We're also offering lunch services in the summertime. We feed about 100 youth at our youth center every summer. That helps get them through with meals being provided from at their home. So we're very proud of what we're doing with our youth.
Thank you. Mr. Hall, do you have any plans to increase activities for our youth and young adults? And what would be required to implement a plan?
So realizing that our youth center needed remodeling, I fought for money with our to remodel it. Now it's not totally done. We didn't get all that we want, but yes, it's been remodeled to be able to allow for more programming, not just after school programming almost round the clock, which is a need, right? So we'll continue to work on advancing the youth center and adding programs, partnering with other agencies. Two of the agencies that I work with, Nia Incorporated, my own, and Dream, have used that space for trainings and activities and lunches during the summer. So that will continue and will expand to more agencies. After school programming is huge. And I realize that a lot of that funding, all of that funding is in jeopardy, but we're all making steps. Us providers are making steps and provisions to be able to continue to keep our children not just safe, not just playing sports, but learning STEM, STEAM, arts, crafts, cooking, all that stuff, DJing, all that stuff. We'll continue to mobilize the resources in the community and outside the community to do that.
Thank you. Mr. Hall, what changes, we're moving to economic development questions. What changes can be made to support affordable housing options for families, ensuring that children have stable and safe living conditions that contribute to their development?
Thank you. So affordable housing is another one of those. It's a big topic, right? As obviously you said, you've had multiple questions. I think looking at the spaces that we have vacant, and Mr. Mayor's already mentioned, we've worked and are working with a number of developers to bring mid-level housing to our community. That will help release some of the housing that current folks are living in, and to allow for new families to move in. And I spoke with a student, high school student, recently interviewed me for a project, and we talked about housing. And he said himself, his parents would move out of this small apartment if there were houses. So those type of conversations that I have with residents and students inspire me to look for options for affordable housing for our residents.
Thank you. Mr. Smith, what changes can be made to support affordable housing options for families, ensuring that children have stable and safe living conditions that contribute to their development?
Affordable housing has always been a question in this community. 51% of our homes right now are rental properties. We have been trying to engage people to move up into another level of homes. We've also been working with developers to actually provide us with miniature homes. The homes will be a 2-bedroom home. And they'll be in pods of 10 per pod. We have a gentleman here in town that proposed that we put that together, and we're still waiting, I think, for him to give us an answer. Made land available for that development, and so I'd like to see that come to fruition. Housing needs in general are short, very, very short housing. We realize that because everyone wants to move up. It's a matter of income. It's a matter of, can you afford to move up, and what type of house can you afford to buy?
Thank you. Mr. Smith, would you be in favor of implementing rent control policies to prevent excessive rent increases?
Sorry, I didn't understand the question.
Would you be in favor of implementing rent control policies to prevent excessive rent increases?
Well, I'm not sure about it that I do, because rent control is that, right? Now, make sure I understood there. Rent control is an infringement on private enterprise. And so I would have to know what the purpose of that rent control would be, other than to minimize the cost of low income families. So I would have some concerns about that. I have to look into that further, but I would study that one without any hesitation. But right now, rental is a business, and it does affect free enterprise. It's going to have an effect one way or the other.
Mr. Hall, would you be in favor of implementing rent control policies to prevent excessive rent increases?
Yeah, I too would have to, I would have to have something on paper, a couple proposals. I believe I understand what might be in question, right? We want to make sure that our rents are affordable and fair for our residents, but at the same time, we don't want to limit. So I've heard stories of outrageous, I guess I should use better words, outrageous rents, but really in terms of a hard and fast policy, without looking at it and having others look at it, I can't say that we go for that.
Thank you. Mr. Hall, over the past 4 years, some businesses have joined our community. Please explain the role the mayor plays in this process, including initial outreach, and what are your recommendations to improve these activities going forward?
Sure. So I got it. If I don't answer it, folks will let me know. The role of the mayor plays is setting the vision, right? The vision for the entire village, sets the vision for the staff, and so then they implement and proceed on that vision. So that's first and foremost. So in terms of businesses, the mayor, along with the administrator and others, they determine which businesses we want to recruit, what types of business we want. And I believe the second part of that was, what would I do
To improve that.
to improve that? I believe bringing more community members involved into the discussion, having diverse committee that is solely purpose, maybe even the task force, solely purpose with seeking out and carrying out the vision of bringing the businesses that our Rantoul residents not only want, but will actually benefit for. Because bringing a business here, if it's not benefiting the community, if it's just generating revenue, isn't what I'm for.
Thank you. Mr. Smith, over the past 4 years, some businesses have joined our community. Please explain the role the mayor plays in the process, including initial outreach, and what are your recommendations to improve these activities going forward?
Back in 2015, I started a program called Rantoul Tomorrow, and the community shared in that experience. And out of that experience came a level of leadership that I had never experienced before. And I'll share that with you, because it made my job as mayor very, very clear to me to take the reins of this community and set the goals, which I'll share with the administrator and also with the department heads. We set a clear vision as to what we were looking for and what we wanted to get accomplished. I think you're seeing the results of that type of leadership right now, and the growth that's happening in this community, and has happened before. Okay. So basically, I'm asking for a continued effort to get our hotels that are promised to come to Rantoul. We have two. We have the Hampton Inn and Suites and also the Marriott have bought ground here. They've made a commitment to the community. Now it's a matter of getting them to fulfill on the act of actually building it, those types of things. All right. Time's up.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. Do you have any specific initiatives to propose to support small businesses and encourage local entrepreneurship? Any specific initiatives to propose?
Yes, ma'am. As a matter of fact, we've got quite a track record when it comes to the initiatives for small businesses. During the last, I want to say 5 years, we have brought forth about $3 million worth of funding, microloans, and those types of things to small businesses. Out of those, I think there was 12 businesses total, and we've had one default, and that was the Van Fam out here on 136. Everybody else is doing fairly well, and so that's 11 new businesses that we brought into Rantoul at the cost of $3 million. So we are doing it. It's a low interest rate loan that the people of Rantoul have made possible for these people to make an investment and create entrepreneurship in our community.
Thank you. Mr. Hall, do you have any specific initiatives to propose to support small businesses and local entrepreneurship?
Yes, I do. So starting with,
Sorry.
okay. So starting with a workforce development program, we've already generated, well, not generated, but created one, generated one, and in some ways implemented it. 5, 6 years ago, I started a summer program for youth ages 18 to 24, which not just provided them employment here in the village, but provided them education on how to be, summarize it that way. We worked on interview skills. We worked on how to fill out applications. That's important when we're talking about growing small business. Many of those young persons, right, and their parents talked about owning their own business. Right now, I'm in the process of building out a culinary art. For some reason, that's like the thing now. I guess everyone likes the culinary arts program here in Rantoul that will help not just teach how to cook, but teach how to run your own restaurant, food truck, those sorts of things. There's a myriad of opportunities we have. And so what I plan on focusing on is the youth, the 18, 16 to 24, 25, 30-year-old who have these great ideas. We'll put them in businesses, and that will grow the revenue as well as the community engagement in Rantoul.
Mr. Hall, what strategies do you have for revitalizing vacant properties and underutilized spaces in Rantoul?
I'm sorry, I missed the first part.
What strategies do you have for revitalizing vacant properties and underutilized spaces in Rantoul?
Sure. Sure. So way back when, about 7, 8 years ago, when I first was elected, my first term, I created what's called the Rantoul Vacant Lot Program. What that is, for those who don't know, is the homeowners can purchase a vacant lot adjacent to their property for the purpose of not reselling it, but for the purpose of development. So whether it be putting a park on it, a garden, whatever they want to do, they have to own it for 5 years before they can move on. As far as I know, no one has moved on. There were upwards of 60 plus vacant lots that were available at that time. Now I believe we only have a few, less than 5. So that program works. So now what we do is create a process for our businesses and our underutilized spaces in the same manner, putting those in the hands of residents, those entrepreneurs that I just spoke about, who may want to repurpose those buildings at a lower cost. Thank you.
Mr. Smith, what strategies do you have for revitalizing vacant properties and underutilized spaces in Rantoul?
Well, if you remember, I talked about goals and visions and very specific about what I'd ask of the city administrator and also the staff. One of the biggest vacancies we have is the former Chinook Air Force Base. And we have been concentrating on getting these vacant buildings occupied And I can announce to you today that we are 99.9% occupied on the former Chanute Air Force Base because of that effort. That's also a utilization of property because it's revenue bearing. We're selling some of those properties. It's also increasing our tax base. So now we're receiving property taxes off of that property where before we did not. We're also bringing in new businesses. And I'll just give you an example real quick of Purcell. Thank you. Purcell Appliances just moved into the former Air Force Base. Maverick Piping just moved into a hangar. We have activities in all hangars. As a matter of fact, we wish we had more hangars for lease or for sale. That's not the thing. So, all right, very good. Thank you. I'll end it.
Thank you. Mr. Smith, what priority would you give to a multi-million-dollar downtown street area revamp with a park and water feature when there are still so many dilapidated and empty buildings?
Well, that's again is a form of leadership. You have to take the bull by the horns sometime. And we were fortunate enough to have ARPA money, and we're all about $1.5 million, I think it was. We got another $3.5 million that we allocated for downtown utilization. And downtown's in bad shape. There's no hiding that from anybody. And so we feel that it has an asset to the community. It has a lot of assets to me because I used to walk those streets in uniform, and I can remember Rantoul when it was a bustling, busy community. So I'd like to see that brought back, and we have plans to do just that. The streetscape program that currently is in place is underway now, and we're utilizing putting in new water systems, electric drainage, and those types of things. There'll be new streets, parking lots, sidewalks, and a whole new array of business opportunities that will be offered in downtown Rantoul because of that.
Thank you. Mr. Hall, what priority would you give to a multi-million-dollar downtown street area revamp with a park and water feature when there are so many dilapidated and empty buildings?
So we, with some of the ARPA money, 1.3 million, I think was already mentioned, is a big investment. We also receive funds from other agencies and so forth to specifically for downtown. That's a huge commitment. There's no going back, right? We just recently had a special board meeting to reallocate ARPA money that was going to public works for some infrastructure projects to help finish up the downtown multi-million-dollar project. So both feet are in, both hands, the whole body's in. It's important to realize that with that type of commitment, we're going to make it work. So under my leadership as mayor, we're going to make it work. We're going to have a fabulous downtown. People are going to move there. We're going to party every day.
Mr. Hall, since the village passed a new net metering policy, we have seen an increase in solar energy installations. As mayor, how would you encourage the adoption of solar energy and ensure it will benefit our lower income residents as well as higher income?
That's a really good question. Yeah, I would have solar, but my wife doesn't want those panels on my house. On her roof. Yeah, I called you out. So solar is a huge thing now. I think I would continue I need to educate myself more on the benefits of all the benefits. I know some, but all the benefits. And I know every company that's out here selling solar isn't necessarily right for every single person. So I'm not gonna jump and say, yes, let's push solar. Let's do some research. I need to do some research personally and then educate our public. Because like I said, I know a few people who have gotten burned. I know more people who've gotten burned than who have reaped the benefits. But you know, let's take a look.
Thank you. Mr. Smith, since the village passed a net metering policy, we have seen an increase in solar energy installations. As mayor, how will you encourage the adoption of solar energy and ensure that it will benefit our lower income residents as well as higher income?
It's a good question. We've been doing that for about 8 years now. We have 2 large solar fields out on Heritage Lake. It's a 10 meg, it's a 2 megawatt system. The solar is supplementing or is being sold back to the village of Rantoul at a reduced cost. And so our citizens have been reaping the benefit of that for quite some time now. Metering was used because we saw that we were losing revenue because of the old system that we had, and we wanted to make sure that this energy costs us a lot of money. I think our power bill for Rantoul alone is over $1 million a month that we have to pay. In addition to that, I'm commissioner on the RPC, and been there for 12 years. I've been working with Light Heat, which is low income assistance for power for our citizens. And we're making sure that Rantoul receives at least $1 million every year to help offset the cost in individual homes.
Thank you. Here's a question we received from the audience member. Why should I choose to buy a home and raise a family in Rantoul?
You couldn't pick a better community to do that. Tell you that this community is on the upsurge. I'll tell you what, we are the talk of Champaign County right now. Everywhere you go, radio stations, newspapers, U of I, they are just in awe at the progress that this community is making and the positive impact that we're having on Champaign County. I think that, we've had a struggle, and that struggle still has a little bit of a tag on our back, and people don't really want to buy into it. But Rantoul is a great place to live. It's safe, it's good, a lot of good people here, and I think that that's why people come to Rantoul and feel safe about living here and wanting to raise their families here.
Thank you. Mr. Hall, why should I choose to buy a home and raise a family in Rantoul?
That's a great question. I love Rantoul. Coming from the big city of Chi-Town and living here with my wife, who's been a longtime resident, I couldn't have picked. She picked it. I couldn't have picked a better place. And I hear, as the mayor said, there was a stigma or thing on our back, but everywhere I go, people talk about the awesome things that are happening. The increase in sports and activity, the Starbucks, right? I hear people talking about Starbucks, the potential of a great downtown, and then the people. When I meet people and talk to people about Rantoul, they always seem, small as it is, always seem to know someone from Rantoul and don't have a bad thing to say about it. So I always recommend. I've been trying to get my city friends and my parents and family down here for years. It's a great place. I think everyone in this room knows it's a great place. Yes, we have problems, but those problems aren't any different than anywhere else in the world. But we have active people, a great village staff. Oh, I got the inside that are working to make this a great place. Sorry, just get excited.
Thank you. Mr. Hall, if elected, do you plan any changes for village employees?
Do I plan any changes for? Absolutely not. Our village staff, and I can't thank them enough. I believe our village staff are top notch. They do a stupendous job at what they do. I believe that as mayor, my job is to continue to support them in their projects, in our projects, in their vision, in their goals. There's absolutely no reason to terminate anyone, as far as I know. But I rely on the administrator and his staff to make recommendations. But from where I sit and from where I've sat, we have the best staff in the United States. Okay, Illinois.
Mr. Smith, if elected, do you plan any changes with village employees?
No, ma'am, I definitely do not plan any changes with any of our employees. Those leadership have been handpicked and interviewed by me and by the administrator. We have a solid team serving this community, and there's not one position that I would change right now, because the results that we're getting, which is positive results, which are all over town and which we're all benefiting from. I think that's about it. I would just leave everything alone and fly rock the boat.
Mr. Smith, if federal funds to the village are cut, do you have any plans for what to do about that?
Yes, ma'am. If the federal funds are cut, then that means that we have to make some cuts too. Because we are required by law to have a balanced budget. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. That's one of the understandings that I have with staff, that we will not be in the red. So we'll have to cut, and what that means is maybe letting some people go. I don't know. It just depends on the amount of impact, but we are anticipating some federal cuts, and also in looking for cuts that'll be coming at the state level as well, because the state's funding is being cut as well by the federal government. So there's going to be an overall rolling impact on this. It's going to affect all of us, regardless of who we are. And everything that we do, from gasoline to food to everything. And hang on, folks, we're about to see it. It's going to happen soon.
Mr. Hall, if federal funds to the village are cut, do you have any plans about what to do?
Yeah, I hope and pray not, but it seems like it's inevitable that cuts are coming. And we look at the budget, right? We look at the budget, we look at the needs of the residents and determine what cuts, right? What cuts need to make. I've fought before, and I will continue to fight for not eliminating jobs. But if that's where the cuts have to come, that's where they come. But to me, that's the last resort, right? There's always, I just believe in my heart. And the last time I had a fight of keeping staff, we did find a way to keep those staff and make some other changes. So the plan would be to look hard. I mean, we have a fantastic staff, a fantastic comptroller, fantastic department. I'm just fantastic, everybody. And when it comes to crunch time, we'll put our heads together and make decisions on what cuts happen.
Thank you. Mr. Hall, do you have any plans for street repairs?
Gosh, I was waiting for this. This kept me up for nights and nights. So I've talked with administrator, talked with other trustees. The plan, we need a 5-year plan, or at least let's start there. 5-year plan. I know there's already been an engineering study to determine the conditions of all the roads in Rantoul and what recommendations there are. When that is proposed or given to us, then us, right? We can make decisions. So right now, the plan for me is to wait to see what the results are and the recommendations of our public works and those persons who are experts engineers into making those happen.
Thank you. Mr. Smith, do you have any plans for street repairs?
Yes, ma'am, I definitely do. And Sam and I have been going to the same meetings, needless to say. And so our street supervisor is bringing a list of priority streets to us, also along with the cost. It will be a 5-year plan. The streets are in such bad repair that we're going to have to tear the streets out and get back to the base and go from ground up. That's what's happening. You're going to see Veterans Parkway here very soon have a whole new surface, because that's almost a brand new road, but it's just falling apart. We have community streets that haven't been touched in 20, 30 years. I think Gleason Drive area out there is one of them. North Sangamon is another one. Sheldon is another one. I can go on and on and on. If you looked at the alleyway on Clark Street, it's a pothole. It's a continuous pothole. So yeah, we have a lot of work to do on streets, and we're going to do that. We've needed the money to do that with. We need to make that a priority.
Thank you. And this is going to be the last question before your closing statements. What is your vision of the future of Rantoul? Mr. Smith.
Well, I've had the great privilege of being the mayor of this town for 12 years, and you're seeing some of my vision. And that vision is going to continue. My vision and my goals are not going to change. I've set the course. We're on the course. We're doing well. We're prospering. There's a lot of income coming into this community that we've never had before. We've got more money to spend on things, and one of those is attracting people to come to town and bring their businesses with them. So I'm going to keep right on focusing where I'm at to build this community, to make it a very nice place to live, encourage families to be here, and to make us all a little bit richer, I hope.
Mr. Hall, what is your vision for the future of Rantoul?
My vision for the future of Rantoul is to continue to on this upward trajectory that we have, but to accelerate it a bit, right? With the advancement of finishing up the downtown remodel, that'll bring even more folks here. I want to focus on building our, as I said, the small business base inside the communities, using up allocating spaces and lots, so forth for them. My vision for Rantoul is to have a multilingual, multi-ethnical meeting like this in the future, where everyone, whether they speak English, Mandarin, what have you, are able to participate. My vision for Rantoul is for to be out in the public and hear and see children run and play and without the fear of being run over or bumped into a trash can or worse, right? My vision for Rantoul is for the economic base to increase, the median income base to continue to do what we've been doing, but to accelerate that with the various partnerships and leadership that I bring. Thank you.
Thank you. We're going to closing statements. And Mr. Hall, your 2-minute closing statement.
Since I opened, I thought I would, but that's fine.
No.
I just want to make sure.
Yeah, Mr. Smith closes. You stuck. You're the one who starts.
He's the one who the closer. So tonight we've had the opportunity to discuss the vision of Rantoul and the leadership our community needs. I want to thank the League of Women Voters, again, the moderator, and everyone who participated in the forum. As we discussed this evening, Rantoul has made great progress, and I'm proud to be part of that upward movement. The full use of the former Air Force Base, the rise of new businesses, and the investment in our community are all signs of a strong foundation that we've built. I also supported the sports complex and the energy that it brings to the village, but none of this happens alone. The village staff, the local businesses, and the community organizations are all essential to our success. And I deeply appreciate the dedication. And no community can succeed without you all, the residents who are passionate about their hometown, people who vote, people who take care of their property, people who speak up when they have concerns. I'm so grateful to live in a community where so many people care and get involved. As your mayor, I will work with you to continue to push forward, expanding economic growth, creating jobs, opportunity, strengthening youth programs, and ensuring that local government remains transparent and accountable to all the people of Rantoul. I've spent my career working directly with the people of Rantoul, helping families, supporting businesses, and creating opportunities for young people. I understand the challenges that we face, and I have the experience and vision and energy to keep us moving forward. This election is about the future of what we want for Rantoul. I ask for your support and your vote. Together, we can continue to build a village that works for everyone. I thank you and good night.
Mr. Smith, your closing statement.
Okay. First of all, I realize that this is a job interview, and I want you to know that I do want to be your mayor again. And I hope that I can continue in that position. Since 2013, when we first started, I put a program out there called Rantoul Tomorrow. Out of that program, as of today's date, we have 21 new businesses in Rantoul just from that effort alone. Under my leadership, this administration has succeeded at the highest rate of accomplishment than any other administration in the history of this community. And I'm very, very proud of that. I don't blame Sam for wanting to become mayor of this community. All of his success and solid financial balanced budgets are in his favor. A fully qualified team of village employees and 1,100,000 visitors come to our sports complex every year. economic growth is at an all-time high. New businesses have been slated well into the future to make this a prime opportunity. I love what I'm doing. I love working for the citizens of Rantoul. I want to continue the great work that we started, and I'm asking for your vote on April the 1st of 2025. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Smith and Mr. Hall. Again, the recording will be found on votechampaign.org and on the League's YouTube channel. I'm always surprised we have a YouTube channel. Very special thanks to our timers, Sam and Kenita Bay, who kept us on schedule. Steve and Kenita Bay, who's kept us on schedule. Just a reminder, it's not too late to register and vote. You can register all the way up to Election Day and vote that day. Information is available on the League website and the county clerk's website about how to do this. Please vote April 1st. Thank you.